Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Lesson 22 now on mud. So here, mud means elongation, which means to stretch, to make something long. So mud means to stretch something. Okay, and then there are two kinds of mud, or two types of mud. Here they've defined it as a short mud and a long mud, but I don't like that explanation. This here is what we call al-maddul munfasil, and here is al-maddul muttasil. But I'm not going to get into deep explanations of them now, because that's not the purpose. Our purpose is just to learn how to stretch them and how they come. So when we reach the Quran, then we'll have a more detailed discussion and understanding of what these muds are. So we don't need to know that now. All we need to know now is how to just read them when we see them. So here it says short mud, it is stretched up to 3 times of a sound. Long mud, it is stretched up to 5 times of a sound. And again, this isn't a universal explanation, and neither is it accepted by everyone. But just very quickly, whenever you see a mud, you stretch it. Some say 4 harakas long, some say 6 harakas long. Or it can be said as, anywhere between 2 to 4 alifs, etc. So like we said, if you look over here, so just as an example, so this is a ba with 1 alif, so you stretch it 1 alif long. So ba. Now some say you stretch it 2 alifs long, the mud. So you'll say ba, or you can stretch it 3 alifs long, so a bit longer. Ba, or 4 alifs long. Ba, longer. So we want to keep this to about 4 alifs long here. 3 to 4 alifs long will be good. So that's what we're going to go by. So 3 to 4 alifs long, we're going to, this mud and this mud, both of them, we're going to stretch them about 3 to 4 alifs long, which is about 4 harakas long. So here is these 3 boxes over here. So we're starting now. So these 3 boxes over here are our maddul muttasils. The fatha letter stretched by an alif. This is a dhamma letter stretched by waw sakin. This is a kasra letter stretched by ya sakin. Okay, these are maddul muttasils. These are maddul aslis. So a mud only comes on a maddul asli. So a mud can come on this, a mud can come on this, a mud can come on this. So it just makes the maddul asli stretch a lot longer. So now let's do this. So this is ba, 1 alif stretch, or 2 haraka stretch you can call it. So 2 haraka and 1 alif stretch are the same thing. You said in 2 different ways. So here, this is a mud, so I'm going to stretch it at least 3 or 4 times the amount. Ba. This is boo. This is, now this one over here, boo. And then here, b. And this is b. See how it works. And the way you practice it, what I want you to do is when you're reading the mud, put your finger up one at a time. So as I'm reading, I'm putting my finger up. So you take your right hand, for example, or your left hand, and as you're stretching, you put 1 finger up at a time. And once you reach 4 fingers, then you stop. So like this. B. So when I lifted my 4th finger up, that's when I stopped my mud. So that's for beginners. That's how we can start to practice the muds. Okay, now next line. So these 2 lines just practice. This is sa, su, si. See how short the muds are. Now these are a lot longer. Sa, su, si. Okay, so I want you to stretch the minimum 4 alifs long, or you can call it 5 harakas long. It's the same thing. So minimum. If you can do up to 5 or 6, then it's even better. So here, this is a ba, fatha, with a mud on it, and then it's a hamza at the end. So we'll do 1 letter at a time first, and then we'll practice reading the whole boxes together. Ba, a. Make sure this is short, and you don't stretch it. Ba, a. Next one. This is ja, a. Ja, a. So each time I'm reading, the mud, I'm putting 4 fingers up. Once I reach the fourth, 1 finger at a time. Once I reach the 4th finger, I stop the mud. Sa, now the whole box. Sa, sha. Now I'm going to read 1 letter at a time. First is the ma, 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 and then the ha alif. This is 1 alif long, or you can call it 2 harakas long. Ha. Now all together. So make sure you don't stretch the at all. Make sure you stretch this 4 alifs long, and make sure you stretch this 1 alif long. Ma, see how I proportion the stretching? So I stretch the ma the most because it has a mud. No stretching at all. And the ha, just a bit of stretch. Ma, next one. Now this su has a mud on it. Su, i, su, i. And that line is done. So now pause the video and practice this and make sure you know it properly before we move on to the next line. Okay, now next. This is an ayn with a fatha by itself. Then the ta has a mad. Ta. Make sure you read the ta full mouth. Ata. An. Ata. An. The next one. Gu. Tha. Gutha. An. Gutha. An. Next one. This letter over here is a nun. The way we know it's a nun and not a dal, because a nun joins on to the next letter, whereas a dal, it's always separate. So this is ni, sa, nisa, an, nisa, an. Next one, a. This is a dal alif with a mad on it. Da, ada, un. Ada'un. So notice how I'm only stretching the mud letter. So I'm not stretching the first letter or the last letter. So don't say ada like that. So you have to keep the other letters very short. Next one. This is sa. So short. Then waw alif with a mud. Wa, sawa, sawa'un. Next, jim by itself, ja. Then za alif with a mud, za, jaza'un, jaza'un. Okay, that line is done. Now pause the video and practice that line at least 3 times before we move on to the next line. Okay, so now the first word on this line. Now this line is slightly harder than the above line, but the key is to reading this line, do 1 letter at a time. And so doing 1 letter at a time, and then each time thinking about, do you stretch that letter or not? And if you think you stretch that letter, you have to give me a good reason, very good reason why you stretch it. So you can't just guess, I think I'm going to stretch this, because it just sounds like it. Okay, so you have to know why you're stretching it. And if you don't know why you're stretching it, don't stretch it, because it's probably not a stretching letter. Okay, so here there's a ba with a fatha, and there's nothing joining to it. Neither does it have an alif or anything. So you say that by itself, ba. Then it's a lam, alif, with a fatha and a mud on top of it. So you stretch the lam alif with the mud. La. Together, make sure the first letter is short. Bala, un, bala, un. This is di, mim alif with a mud. Ma, dima. Next hamza by itself with a fatha. Make sure it's very short. Dima. See how short the di and the was? And then the kaf will join to the mim. Kum. Dima akum. Next is a ha with a dhamma. Hu. Nun. This line over here with a dot is a nun with a fatha. Na. Huna. Make sure you pronounce the ha from the middle of the throat. Fa alif with a mud. Fa. Hunafa. Hunafa. Okay, so it seems hard because these boxes are quite big and they have a lot of letters. But as soon as if you read it 1 letter at a time and reading it the way I asked you to read it, where you say first letter, say second letter, join it from the beginning, say new letter, join it from the beginning, say new letter, join it all from the beginning. If you do it this way, it's very easy to read. Okay, so first letter, wa. Then a new letter, ra alif with a mad, ra. Make the ra full mouth. Don't say ra, it's ra. Now you join it from the beginning, wa ra. New letter, a. Join from the beginning, wa ra. A. Now this is a ha with a reverse dhamma. If you look at our previous lessons, we learnt about the reverse dhamma and we learnt about the standing kasra as well in one lesson. So reverse dhamma, you stretch. Hu, 2 harakas long. Or you can call it 1 alif long. So now all together. Wara'ahu. And if you can, just go back to the lesson, find the lesson where we learnt about the reverse dhamma and just look at it, just to refresh your memory. So every time you come across something like this that you done quite a while ago, just go back to the lesson, find it, so you can refresh your memory. Next one. The alif will join to the waw. The waw has a sukoon. So the first 2 letters will be aw. Then this is a lam with a kasra, li, join from the beginning, awli. Then a ya, alif, fatha, mad. Ya awliya u. Awliya u. Now pause the video, practice this line at least 3 times, and then once you're ready, move on to the next line. Okay, so the first few words on this line, on the last line, are fairly easy, except for the last box can get a bit tricky. But if you follow my method, it should be very easy. Okay, so the first one is this letter over here is a jim, because it has a dot over here. You should be able, by the way, you should be able to recognize your letters now perfectly. If you're still struggling letters, you need to go back and revise the letter pages and make sure you know them perfectly. Okay, so because many students, they find this difficult, number one, because it's a new lesson, you're learning something new, but number two, the main reason is they're still struggling with the letters. So then 2 things. So one is the new lesson is difficult, and number 2, the letters are also difficult. So 2 and 1 and 1 put together makes things even more difficult. So at least the letters should be easy, then understanding a lesson will be a lot easier. So if you're struggling with the letters, please go back and learn the letter lessons again and revise them. Now here, this is a jim, because it has a dot at the bottom and it has a kasra, so it'd be ji, but not yet. This letter after it is a ya sakin, so then the ya sakin will stretch the jim, isn't it? So it'll be and but. This mad al-asli has a mud on top of it, so you'll stretch it 4 times the amount. So you'll stretch it, yeah. So G, 4 alifs long or 5 harakas long, however you want to call it. G, A. G, A. Next, it's a sin, the kasra, stretched by ya sakin. Here there's no dots, but that's a mistake. There's supposed to be 2 dots here. So you can draw them in with a pen or a pencil in your qaida. And then it has a mud. Si, A. Okay, first letter, next box. First letter is yad with a dhamma, you. Then it's a dad with a kasra, stretched by a ya sakin. So and it has a mud on the top of it. Di all together, and then u. I want to say the whole box together. Yudi'u. So making sure you don't stretch the last letters. Many students, they tend to stretch the last letters for some reason. Next one. First letter is a ba with a fatha, ba. Then it's a ra with a kasra, stretched by ya sakin. Here again, there's supposed to be 2 dots. I think that's a mistake in the print. So the ra will be stretched by ya sakin, and it has a mud on top. Ri all together. Bari'un. Bari'un. Now these are the 4 easy boxes done. They should be easy. Now this one will be fairly hard, but if you stick to my method, 1 letter at a time, then join, as soon as you read a new letter, join it all the way from the beginning again, then it should be easy. So now let's start. This is a kha, read it full mouth, and it has a fatha, doesn't join to anything after it. Kha. Now this is a ta with a kasra, so it'd be a t, but the next letter is a ya sakin with a mud. So that means the ta will be stretched by ya sakin and the mud. So it will be ti. Now together, join from the beginning. Khati. Next letter is this hamza with a fatha. So it will be a. Make sure you don't stretch it. Khati'a. Next letter is a ta with a dhamma. Tu. From the beginning. Khati'atu. And then the last letter is a ha with a reverse dhamma. You stretch it 2 harakas long, or 1 alif you can say. Hu. Now all together, making sure you only stretch the ti, because that's the mud. The mud is here, and so that's about 4 harakas long, or 4 alifs long and 5 harakas, and then you stretch this one alif long, or 2 harakas. So again, from the beginning, khati'atuhu. Okay, see how short I made the a and the tu and the kha, because they don't have any stretches. Again, one more time, I'm going to read it. Khati'atuhu. Okay, so now that is done. So this is our mud lesson. So now pause stop the video and practice this line 3 times, and then go over the whole lesson. Make sure you can read all of these boxes perfectly before you move on to the next lesson.